Dog toys can be expensive, so I love a chance to do a little DIY. My dogs are always in the market for a new toy. I took one of their cute little cactus Squeaker toys and I measured all the bits and pieces to create a pattern and make a brand new toy for my dogs. It came out really cute, so I wanted to share the process with you so that you can make one too. Grab your rulers, scissors, and scrap fabric, and let's get started. You will need a front and a back piece measuring 3.5 inches by 7.5 inches, 4 side panel pieces measuring 2.25 inches by 7.5 inches, a top and a bottom piece measuring 3 5/8 inches in diameter, 2 matching pairs of cactus arms. I basically freehanded this pattern piece, but just for reference, the main seam is 2 3/8 inches long. The widest width, it's 3 1/4 inches, and at the widest height, it's 3 3/8 inches. I also cut notches into the outer curved edge of each pattern piece because we're going to be creating a dart here in each hand piece. And then I freehanded these facial features, mouth, the tongue, the eye, and the winking eye. And you can make them as big or as small as you want. They'll fit about right here in the lower half of one of your main pieces. And then you'll need some fiber fill to fill the main body and the hands, and a couple squeakers if you want to add those. And lastly, you'll need little strips of either ribbon or thin bias tape, measuring 2 inches in length. First, we'll apply our facial features to your front main pattern piece. Each of my facial features have interfacing on the back to stabilize the fabric as I sew it on. And I'm just going to zigzag stitch each of these pieces in place. And then using white thread, I'm just going to zigzag some stitches to create an eyeball in the middle of this eye. Now we're going to create our little spikes to add along the sides of the main front and main back piece. To create the spike and make it have a tiny pointy end, I took one of the edges and twisted it so that it creates this kind of 90-degree angle. And then I took the outer piece and twisted it to the back so that the two edges now meet along the bottom. And that gave me a little bit of a pointy shape at the top. Then I lined up these raw edges about 1 inch from the top of the fabric. So again, I twisted this edge downward, and then I grabbed the other end, twisted it to the back, and line up these bottom edges. And then I'm going to clip this one 1 inch from the bottom of the fabric. Then I'll take another piece and clip it right in the middle of these two. And then 2 more pieces, evenly spaced on either ends of the top and bottom. I'm going to do the exact same process for the other side. I'm going to take it to my machine and baste each one of these spikes in place. Follow the exact same process to attach your spikes to the back main piece. Now we're going to create the darts in each of our hand pieces. Extending from both of the notches that we marked in the beginning, which should be about 1.5 inches from each other, draw lines to form a triangle, each line being about 1.5 inches in length. And this triangle will be our dart. With these lines drawn on the wrong side of your material, fold your dart in half so that those notches line up, pin in place, and then use these lines as your stitching guide from one notch to the point. Do this for all 4 of your hand pieces. So now the little arm pieces should look like this, coming to points in the center, and place one set right sides together and pin or clip all around the curved edge. Leave your straight edge open so that we can fill these with fiber fill in a minute, and go ahead and sew the curved edge with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and do this for both pairs of arms. And then trim your seam allowances, turn them right side out, fill them with fiber fill, leaving your 1/2 inch seam allowance empty. Now grab your main front piece and one of your side pieces and place them right sides together and clip in place. And sew with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And then open that piece out and grab one of your arms, place it about 1.5 inches from the top of your fabric. And then grab one of your other side pieces, place it on top right sides together, pin in place, sandwiching that arm in between. and then sew that seam with a 1/2-inch seam allowance. Open that out, then grab your back piece, place it right sides together with that side panel, pin and sew with a 1/2-inch seam allowance. Now add one more of your side panels to this back piece in the same way. Grab your remaining arm piece and place it about 1.5 inches from the bottom of the fabric. Grab your last side panel, place it right sides together with this side panel, sandwiching the arm in between, and clip. And sew in the same way. We're going to bring these two ends right sides together and clip in place. Sew that together with a 1/2-inch seam allowance, forming a cylinder for our cactus. Now grab your top piece, place it at the top of your cylinder. The right side of your circle faces the right side of your fabric on the inside, and pin in place all the way around. Sew slowly and carefully all around your circle to seal the top of the cactus. Now that our top is attached, grab your remaining circle for the bottom of the cactus and place it right sides together with the bottom, pin in place in the same way. We're going to stitch this in place in the same way with a 1/2-inch seam allowance. We're only going to stitch it about 3/4 of a way closed. Backstitch at the beginning and the end of your stitching. We're going to use this opening to turn the cactus right side out. Pull your cactus right side out through the opening, and then start filling it with your stuffing. And at this point, if you want to throw some squeakers in there, go ahead and do that. I've stuffed it so that my cactus is pretty firm. Now I'm just going to slip stitch this opening, tucking in the seam allowance of my circle and the main fabric, and then just using a needle and my matching thread to seal the bottom of my cactus shut. And now your cactus toy is all done.